What is up, guys? This is Stretch Books Live, the books that help you to discover deeper purpose and master higher productivity. The book that we're talking about today is Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards. And this book, if I can best summarize it, if you want to feel more confident in having conversations with other people, in your interactions with others, and not only do you want to feel more confident, but maybe you just want to do a better job of communicating. Maybe you want to be more persuasive in your conversations. If that's what you're looking for, this is the book for you. And what I really like about the book is it gives a lot of research to back the ideas that she are saying. These are actions you need to take in order to be more personable, in order to be more captivating and connect better with others. So I've got 7 points. They're all based around the 3 sections of the book. Those sections are the first 5 minutes of an interaction, the first 5 hours of an interaction, and the first 5 days of an interaction. Here we go. This is point number 1. Making a great first impression requires the triple threat. That if you do all 3 of these things, you can make a great first impression right off the bat. Number 1 is eye contact. And there have been a lot of studies that have been done to see how much eye contact is too much, how much eye contact is too little. We see that whenever we use eye contact, it actually releases oxytocin in the brain, which shows that there is an attraction. And that's not necessarily a romantic attraction, but an attraction to that person, what they're saying, that you find them interesting, that on some unconscious level, that we are attracted if we see that other people are making eye contact with us. The sweet spot, according to Vanessa, is between 60 and 70% of the time. That if you make eye contact within that sweet spot, then you are telling somebody that you are interested in what they have to say. That's number 1 in the triple threat. Number 2 is hand signals. So using hand signals shows 2 things. It shows that you're open, that you're an open person, an open book, which causes a person to lean in more. And it also shows them that you're excited about what it is that they're saying, that there is some excitement inside of you in the conversation, which is also very infectious to that other person you're in the conversation with. And that leads us to number 3, posture and position shows that you're engaged. So posture is the number 1 thing, and I'm thinking about this as I'm sitting here now. Posture is the number 1 thing that shows somebody that you're not bored, okay? That you have an interest in what it is that they have to say and that you are engaged. So those are the 3 things that you need to do if you want to make sure you're making a good first impression. Good eye contact, 3/4 of the time, basically. You need to make sure that you're using hand gestures. And then number 3, that you have a good posture and position. Point number 2, use conversation sparkers. Don't ask the same mundane conversation questions that we just get in the habit, in the routine of always asking, i.e., hey, how's your day going today? Pretty good. How is yours going? These standard questions that we ask, they don't have to activate the brain. It's a rut where we get used to asking the same thing and giving the same answer. The very definition of a conversation sparker, in Vanessa's words, is a question that causes a pattern interrupt in someone's brain to where they have to activate their brain. For example, you could say to somebody, hey, what is the most exciting thing that's going on in your life right now? And to me, that has seemed a little bit organic. I've tried this several times. And what I have found to make it a little more authentic is to do it with a smile on your face in a playful way and say, hey, so what's going on in your life right now that's exciting? And just kind of smile and allow that person to be playful back. And I've found in those instances that those people really connect with you and they'll answer the question. And that's just a great question because you're invoking that person to go to a place where they're excited in order to answer the question. So just think of any question that's going to break up somebody's routine, that's going to really engage them in beginning a conversation. Point number 3, when beginning a conversation, consider someone's position in the room and the time. So she makes the statement that if somebody is walking into a room for an event, they could be kind of in shock, right? They could be in overwhelm because of all of the sensory input, the new room, all of the people in the room, the noises in the room, and it's almost shocking to try to begin a conversation right then. Also, if you notice that somebody is looking for others, it's not a good time to start a conversation with that person because they're not going to be able to fully connect with you. So after an event has began, when you see the flow that people are starting to settle, when you see that someone is by themselves and they're looking as if they're looking for someone to talk to, you're really setting yourself up for success to gauge the time during an event and to gauge the position of someone in order to begin that conversation. Number 4, these are 4 questions. I found this really interesting. They were asked to find out what annoys you the most in a conversation. And this was a survey that was taken. The questions were, if a person is too talkative, if a person is too quiet, if a person comes across as fake, if a person comes across as bragging. So ask yourself the question, what annoys you more? If a person's quiet, if a person is too talkative, if a person seems fake, or if a person is bragging about themselves. Overwhelmingly, 2 of these really flowed to the surface. Number 1, if a person comes across as fake. And that makes total sense because if you're coming across as fake, what you're really conveying to the other person, right or wrong, is that you can't be even vulnerable enough with them to just be real about who you are, and that reflects on your relationship with that person. And then the second most annoying thing was being too bragging or talking too much about yourself. And in my estimation, sometimes people do this just because there's an awkward silence. And so they start talking about something. And I would say, you don't ever do this, but to tell your friends who do this that they can just ask questions to the other person rather than to just try to fill the awkward silence by talking about themselves. Which brings us to point number 5, that vulnerability. Telling somebody a story from your life that's raw and real, it gives them the opportunity to, in their mind, to say, me too, me too. Not only does it do that, but we found whenever we tell stories that are very real, that invoke emotion, people's brains, the patterns in their brains will actually link up. Emotional states will link up, much as if you're watching a movie and you really put yourself in the position of the hero or heroine and you start playing those things out emotionally. So in a very literal sense, we start emotionally connecting with the person that's telling the story if it's very real and it's emotional. So that's number 5. Point number 6, knowing your micro expressions allows you to stand out in front of a mirror and practice knowing the way you look, that the way you look matches up with what it is you're trying to convey. So how do you look whenever you're happy? How do you look when you're interested? How do you look when you're pensive? Looking in a mirror allows you to see, okay, this is actually how I look in those different states, and what do I want to make sure I am conveying in conversations? Conversely, we can learn a lot just by looking at others' micro expressions, meaning sometimes we try to hide how we feel in a conversation, whether there's fear or boredom or awkwardness or whatever it is. But micro expressions, these small expressions of how we really feel, tend to come up. There's a really good illustration in the book where there's several pages of people and they're smiling. Half of the people are smiling because they've been talked to and they've gotten in an emotional state and they're truly smiling. The other half have fake smiles. And Vanessa asks you to try to determine which smiles you believe are fake and which ones are real. Now, I felt pretty unsure of myself, but whenever I looked at the answers, I was right every time. And I don't think that's anything that is common to just me. I think everyone is that way. And I think just like I felt unsure of myself, we need to start trusting that we have the ability to see these micro expressions and look at body language, which really brings me to point number 7. Start using your muscle of naturally being able to detect body language. We all have the ability. We all can look at somebody else and just by looking at them see what the expression on their face or body means. It's just most of us are not in tune with it, and most of us are not used to utilizing that ability. So it's like any other muscle. Work that muscle and allow it to become strong, and that allows you to have great feedback and increase the depth and communication in your conversations. That is it. It was a great book. Like I said, if you're somebody that's wanting to connect better with other people and communicate better, I highly recommend it. But whatever you do this week, remember to do 2 things with it. Be both purposeful and productive, and be the light this week. Take care.